To celebrate its 20th anniversary, the Nanyang Chronicle interviews one of its chief editors and past writers to find out how it has influenced their lives and careers. We talked to the first managing editor of the Nanyang Chronicle, Dorothy Ho, on her experience as one of the paper's founders. She's currently based in Seattle, working as the communications director at Acumatica. Famous on the blogosphere for his blog Alvinology, Alvin Lim, a social media manager, used to be a photographer and a graphic designer for the Nanyang Chronicle. Well known for his final year documentary drama, The Last Flight of the Red Butterflies, food blogger Daniel Ang was a writer who wrote for both the English and Chinese columns in the Nanyang Chronicle.
What I did learn, I think one of the most important things was fearlessness. It takes a lot of courage. You don't think about it to go up to a complete stranger, be it a young child or a CEO of a company or the president of NTU, to ask a simple question. And I think that the Nanyang Chronicle sort of empowered me to feel that I could do anything.
The frustration is there when you're very hard pressed for time. You just submit something and they tell you that you have to edit it and change it.
A little bit more thick-skinned when approaching people. Sometimes as students, you're very shy in getting interviews and speaking to the public. But a journalist needs to be very thick-skinned, and I think it gives you the practice to do that. Yeah. Wow, which skills? Time management. I remember in my old days in Nanyang Chronicle, we were given like maybe 2 weeks to 3 weeks to write a story. Taught us how to manage time a little bit.
I'm a huge proponent of the practicum. Any sort of internship, any sort of opportunity to do something so-called practical is invaluable. Theory only gets you so far. Theory is a strong foundation for knowing what's the context, knowing the history, knowing of what came before. But practical is what takes you into the future. There's nothing like the real world to humble you and teach you a lesson.
When you start working, it's not about the grades that you have and so on. Those will give you probably the first entry for interview to get a job and so on. But when you're really doing it and how you perform and things like that, whether you have the skill set, it really does help to have a lot of practical experience.
The truth is, I don't remember my M301, 302, 303, media studies, media law. Sorry to Prof Ang and all that, but practical skills are so important. Knowing how to set up a camera and tripod. I know it seems like the most mundane task ever, but imagine reaching a scene and you're a journalist, you do not know how to set up a tripod, which is like the most fundamental thing.
She had sent me to talk to someone who ran a printing press somewhere in Singapore. And I'd gone there, my innocent undergraduate self with my notebook and my questions. I was so eager. I went there and the man refused to answer my questions. He belittled me and said, why are they sending a student to talk to me? You're nothing. You have no experience. I just sat there dumbfounded. I was scared out of my wits, trying very hard not to cry. I walked out of there without a single line written in my notebook. I called my editor at the time and just cried. And that was the worst experience. But to feel so helpless and not know how to take control of the situation. But, you learn from it. And I never forgot that man who turned me down and in such a dramatic fashion. But you have to meet some of the most horrible people in the world to appreciate the really nice interviews that you get.
She's Su, a Taiwanese singer. I was tasked to interview her in a concert. Why was this memorable? Because as a reporter, I took a lot of initiative. When she asked for volunteers to be on the stage, I raised my hand and I got to sing a duet with her. I wrote a story, got scolded by my editor because my editor scolded me because journalists shouldn't be part of the story. I wrote about my experiences singing a duet with her. In the past, we used to use MDs to record. These are now extinct. It's only 1 hour of interview here, and if we only have one tape, then we just have to make use of that 1 hour to squeeze as much answers as we can from the interviewee.
What I look for is the passion and the person that's talking to me, the person that's right opposite the table, telling me about maybe a story they wrote that was never published. Maybe they pursue a lot of personal photo essays or things that they do outside of what's on the resume. is sometimes more important than what's on the resume.
Having some sense of you're able to do everything and being digital savvy and to know how to write for the digital medium, how to get audience for this and so on.
The employee to be very resourceful. They know where to find the right things, they know the right context, they know the right people. Initiative is very important. We cannot just sit back there and wait for things to come. We have to go forward, we have to look for new stories.
Never stop writing, even if it's a tweet or a blog or an Instagram picture or some caption. Keep your mind creative.
I just want to say that sometimes it's not just about the equipment, it's about your sense of aesthetics and your new sense and so on.
I think for writers is continue to write. Don't see a task. Maybe I didn't give you this new story that you may not enjoy so much. Look at it as a challenge. The more you write, the better you get.
It's been quite a ride so far, and the Nanyang Chronicle will forge on, giving students opportunities to write for an audience and learn new skills.